exclude pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Hey, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Roundtable Show with your hosts, Wayne Blair and Rick Hall. We come to you every Tuesday morning here at WGNS Studios in Murfreesboro and try to hold a guest list every week. I hope that you guys enjoy. I think the last few shows I've really enjoyed, and today's one of those. But Mr. Wayne, how are you, buddy?
Good morning, Brother Rick. I'm doing very well. Beautiful, beautiful morning. A little chilly starting out, but not as cold as yesterday. So
Saturday was cold.
Well,
that north wind.
Well, I think there was frost in several places yesterday.
Had a frost warning.
I think when I woke up, temperature was 37, and I go, wait a minute, we're into April. So, but yeah, good draft this Thursday, so that ought to be interesting. I listened to some of the chatter about, who the Titans will pick at number 7, and I'd say it's odds-on favorite. It's going to be someone who can play left tackle. They've gotten kind of tired of the lookout blocks.
Yeah, I think there's a kid from Notre Dame they've got tapped on.
Yeah, Alt.
Huge kid.
He's a technician, and I remember a guy that played for MTSU back when I was a freshman, and he wasn't very big. I think he was probably only about 6 feet, probably didn't weigh but about 230, 235, which is small in today's, but he played against Ed Tootal Jones and managed him pretty well, because Tootal was 6'9", 290, so he was a man among boys. So this Alt kid ought to be really good, so I hope so for the Titans. So would like to give a shout out. Teresa and I went to the Alzheimer's Middle Tennessee walk over in Franklin Saturday morning, their little fundraiser, and had a great time. Didn't really know about Hollinsdale Farm. It's a land trust controlled by the city of Franklin, and it is just beautiful over there. And it was Billy Tarkington, was I guess the headlining guest, and they did line dancing, which I didn't attempt, and but had prizes, and the dog beauty contest was pretty cute. So, but it was just a great time. I think they raised some money, and Miss Blanchard, that we've had on the show, I think 3 or 4 times, coordinated everything, and it was just a great opportunity to promote a disease that is just devastating for so many families.
It sure is. More and more, as we guess that's why we keep having our own, is shed light on what's going on.
Just something that that's just a slow debilitating disease. So, but glad that she's committed, and she does so much to help people. Brother Rick, this morning, great friend, as our guest this morning, the provost for our favorite university, hometown university, Middle Tennessee State University. Our guest not only is provost, but former school board member and chairman of the school board for several years, and was just an excellent community leader. And Dr. Mark Byrnes, it's a pleasure having you this morning.
Thank you, Wayne. Good to be with you and Rick again.
We enjoyed you the last time, and felt like we just had to get you back.
I'll come as often as you ask me.
Well, we love talking about Middle Tennessee State University. Yeah, I really thought at one time that name might be changed to the University of Middle Tennessee, but
That was there was a little boomlet of interest in that. I'm still sort of interested in it myself, but there were some costs associated with it, and then there were some alums who were less enthused about the idea. But so I haven't heard much about that recently, but it could come back. You never know.
Yeah, well, I like the University of Middle Tennessee. I like that name. So, I'm wondering about our mascot sometime, flying horse. Or is that a flying unicorn? I don't know about it.
Well, it's not a unicorn. I can vouch for that.
So it is a Pegasus?
Well, there's some debate if it's a Pegasus or a winged horse. And I'm not sure what the difference is, other than Pegasus was one particular winged horse. I don't know. You can go down a rabbit hole, but yes, it's essentially a winged horse.
Okay. Well, I just, of course, back in my day, we had a raider on a horse, which was pretty cool. So
You did.
brandishing a saber, pretty intimidating.
I remember that. Yeah.
Kind of like Seminole coming out in the middle of the field down in Tallahassee, thrusting the spear. They must have a natural turf. I don't think you can do that on our field.
Put a hole in the artificial turf. Then we had Old Blue for years, a dog. You remember Old Blue?
I had forgotten about
Yeah.
Old Blue. Okay,
I'm not sure what he really represented, but he was cute. His mascots go.
Yeah. But I'm sorry I had forgotten about Old Blue. So, but my memory has waned a little bit over the years, I guess. So, but why don't you remind the audience a little bit about yourself? You're homegrown talent, and
Yeah, grew up in Murfreesboro. Still cannot believe the amount of traffic that if I can just sound like an old man for a minute, to go anywhere in this town now, toward the interstate anyway, is just crazy. But love Murfreesboro. Grew up here. Went to Bellwood, Central, Riverdale, MTSU. Then went off to grad school. I was fortunate to be able to come back after I finished my PhD and teach at MTSU. That you often don't get to do that. In fact, usually you do not get to come back to your hometown because the job market is so specialized. And I was just blessed that the year I was ready, there was a job that fit me, and they made the mistake of hiring me, and I've been there ever since.
oh, we're awfully glad you're there. There's just, the serving on the school board and being chairman of the school board, that had to be kind of a different opportunity compared to teaching.
Well, as you well know, yes, it is. It was a great experience. Running for the office, the serving in the office, and y'all have both been public officials. You know that it's incredibly rewarding. Now, there are frustrating parts to it, obviously, but it's important for people to be involved at a local level. That's where the decisions that affect us most directly are often made. So I really did enjoy my time here. It appears to be different these days than when we were on there, and I don't think we want to go down that road necessarily, but
It's up to you.
and it's just different, and more partisan politics are involved with it now, it seems to me.
Sure.
Again, I'm not following it like I once did. To me, local offices, partisan affiliation really is not all that relevant.
Sure.
When you and I were on the school board together, Wayne, we had at least one very conservative Republican and one pretty liberal Democrat, and you wouldn't have known it had we not had conversations outside meetings.
Right.
Because they were focused on the kids and how we best serve them. And to me, that's not a partisan issue. So,
Something you don't get credit for that you and Harry Gill, Mr. Gill, basically, I think y'all were the parents of Central Magnet.
well, there are a lot of people who did work in the years running up to that. There'd been Stan Vaught and others studying it. Both school board members and commissioners had been interested in it. But yeah, looking back on my time, we did a lot of great stuff, but I'm really proud of Central and what it's become. It's one of the leading schools in the nation. And it offers a form of school choice within the public school system, which I think is a really good thing.
Dr. Ash was with Rick and I a few weeks ago, and he shared a lot of positives going on there at Central Magnet. And the neat thing is, I think that building was built back, in the 40s?
Goodness, I don't know.
And here we are, 80 years later, we're still utilizing it, but we've had some conversation between Rick and I, on school construction now, because bricks and mortar has gotten so expensive that having to look at some alternatives.
Well, I think there are a lot of lessons you can learn from Central, but one of them is if you put an attractive program in an old building, people will come.
Sure.
They'll line up to come. And so, yeah, we all like a newer building and with all the bells and whistles. But ultimately, it's about the academic program, the extracurriculars, the athletics. All of that stuff is what attracts people. And so, and to me, it's a historic building, and we should honor that. But it just proves the program is more important than the building.
Yeah, like he said, we've talked about that when I go to Central Magnet, I feel that old feeling I remember from being a kid of going up there, that it still feels the same way. It's the same thing if I walk the halls of Smyrna Middle School that I went to when I went to Smyrna High School. You can still walk them halls, and they've remodeled and changed the paint colors, but it still has that feel, and that feels like home. That's where
it does.
You grew up, a part of your life.
I mean, there are costs involved, and there are other issues with an older building, but I don't think right now we're just trying to keep up with growth. And of course, that's been our story for a long time here.
20 years.
At least.
Yep.
I remember when I ran in, what year? 2004, and
right.
And the question was, well, what's the biggest thing facing the county school system? And the answer, I wasn't a genius to figure this out, is growth. It's keeping up with growth. And that's not changed. But we need to be, and I think we have always been cautious about building. At some point, maybe that growth slows down, and if we have overbuilt at that point, then that's another set of problems. Now that's, from the looks of it, way down the road,
sure,
if you believe the population projections. But I think we've been pretty responsible as a county in how we've done the construction program. But it's I don't know what a new high school costs these days. I don't know. It was like $55 million when we were on the board.
See, that's the biggest thing that we have a big discussion about. You might as well round it up and say they're going to need $1 billion over the next 6 years to build schools.
Because we built Rock Vale, that's now 4 or 5 years old, for $73 million, and it's more than double that now.
Yeah.
From the latest projection that I think Rick and I have been involved.
Well, and we also know that I drove out that way a couple of weeks ago, and the number of houses that have sprung up between here and Eagleville.
Oh, no, crazy.
It's insane, and they're big. I don't know where these people are working, but they're big, nice houses. And everybody wants to be next to a school. I mean, that's a long-standing phenomenon.
At one time it was more the Blackman area that was blossoming or booming, but now it's out 96, it's out 99. Both ways. I mean, there's really not a area of the county that's not growing significantly.
No, you go up pretty much any road, and it's booming. I live on Halls Hill Pike, and so far that hasn't boomed too much, but I see it's coming. I see it coming. I mean, it's a narrow, windy road and no sewer, so it's been slower, but and I can't remember the numbers, but just the population projection for this county is just insane. I mean, overall, it's a good thing. I don't want to sound like I'm negative about growth.
Sure.
It's a positive, but it brings challenges along with it.
Yep. What's new and exciting going on at Middle Tennessee State University?
Well, there's a lot. This is the end of April, as you mentioned earlier. That's crazy time on a college campus because we're winding the semester down.
Cap and gown.
On May the 3rd and May the 4th, we'll have 3 graduation ceremonies, a total of 3.
Wow.
graduating about 2,500 students. So that's why we're there. I would like to remind myself there's a lot that goes into getting to that day, but that day is the culmination. We are there to educate students and help them graduate and help them better their lives. And that day is a great celebration when we honor those students who've done it and honor the faculty and staff who've helped them do it.
Well, I can tell you, back in 2015 when I walked and got to shake yours and Dr. McPhee's hand, I don't know that my feet ever touched the floor. I mean, that was such an exciting opportunity.
It was a great day. So we replicate that with nearly 5,000 students every year.
That's amazing.
So that, to me, it's a great thing. There's a lot of talk, and I can get up on my soapbox here, and you tell me when to get down. In this state and really nationally, questioning the value of higher education, and it's nonsense. That's the polite word for what it is. I've never believed that everybody has to go to college. I don't believe you have to go to college to have a great life. But I do know that there are all sorts of measures upon which college graduates do much better than non-college graduates. And first and foremost would be income. The latest figures show that over the course of a working career, the average bachelor's holding person makes more than $1 million additional income than somebody who does not. Now, are there exceptions to that? Yeah, it's an average, but there's just no doubt that that's the case. So there's a lot of talk about alternate credentials and, you can get a badge or something else and do just fine. And maybe that's true in certain narrow fields, but by and large, the evidence is overwhelming that you're going to be better off financially and in other ways with a college degree than otherwise.
We, Rick and I, continue to promote career and technical as well. So it's basically a partnership between, the academic side and the career and technical side.
Right. And when we were on the board, we believed, and I still do, in CTE, and that's a really important path for some students who are not interested in higher ed, and they can have a good living. You can just have a little bit better living on average if you have a college degree. I don't want to get too focused on the income. There's more to it than that. There's just educating yourself and becoming a more effective critical thinker and hopefully a more effective citizen. I mean, there's all sorts of benefits.
Sure.
I think even like MTSU and Murfreesboro were growing so bad. My daughter was a incoming junior transfer student at MTSU, but she got an apartment in Murfreesboro and her rent was $1,680 a month.
Yeah, rents are insane right now.
So it makes it really hard, and I think that's another piece of the puzzle there that somehow we've got to figure a way to make this thing work.
That's a legitimate question. When a few years ago, I did some research to compare what's happened to tuition, and when I was, once again, my old man coming out, when I was in school, my tuition and fees were $500 for the entire year. Now that's not room and board, but now it's about $9,500 a year.
Wow.
And even accounting for inflation, that's a significant increase. And it's not because the university is just a spendthrift. It's because the state support for higher education has dropped dramatically. But, the students don't care really about the explanation of why that's happened. It's that they have to deal with that figure. Now, there's more scholarships available now. We have the Hope Lottery Scholarship. We have a whole range at MTSU of guaranteed scholarships based on your GPA and ACT score. So there are ways to bring that figure down. Most people are not actually going into their pocket for $9,500 a year, but some are, and it's a challenge. People are reluctant to take on debt. And again, that's a good policy. Most of our students graduate without debt because most of them work outside in addition to going to class. And those who do wind up with the debt, it's in the range of $24,000. So it's not nothing, but for the benefit you're going to get over your lifetime, I think it's a good investment. But right, cost is something that we're very aware of. The tuition increases we've done in the last few years have been modest, and in some years it's been zero. So we're aware of the effect that it has on our students.
Great. You're listening to the Provost of MTSU, Mark Byrnes, with us. Dr. Mark Byrnes. I don't want to leave that doctor out of that. But we'll
Leave it out.
Take our first break and be right back with you in just a minute.
Finding that missing shin guard, remembering whether it's a home or away game, getting the right kid to the right playing field on the right day. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. We work with independent agents who keep insurance simple so you can worry about more important things, like not being that fan. Oh, come on, ref! That's simple human sense.
Rayburn Insurance in Smyrna.
Come see me, Rick Hall, at Rayburn Insurance in downtown Smyrna today.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates.
As a leader in environmental services, sustainability is deeply integrated into our business model. At Middle Point Landfill, we are environmentalists at heart. We use a cutting-edge technology in combination with our deep experience in recycling and waste services to protect our environment and our neighbors. That's our job, and that's our promise. This is Mike Klassen with Middle Point Landfill. We invite you to learn more about us at middlepointlandfill.com. For public services, we are sustainability in action.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how. Learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team live in Chattanooga 2 days only at the Marriott downtown, Saturday and Sunday, May 4th and 5th. Register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Enter promo code 2024 for a special discount offer. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Code 2024.
Hi, this is Bob Cornell, pastor of Covenant Church right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The answer that you've been looking for is found in Jesus and what he accomplished at the cross. You see, Jesus changes lives from the inside out. We would love for you to join us at Covenant Church, located at 1124 Brinkley Ave right here in Murfreesboro. We have services Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You can learn more about us at our Cornell Ministries YouTube channel. We want you to grow in Christ at Covenant Church.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and Americare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the law offices of John Day. I've lived and worked as a lawyer in Middle Tennessee for over 30 years, and to me, every single day has been an honor. That's why our firm is so involved with community programs like bicycle helmet giveaways and our Safe Ride Home program. At the law offices of John Day, we're not just looking to make donations. We want to make a difference in the community we hold so dear. And if you're ever injured, know that we are here for you too.
For over 77 years, you've depended on WGNS to let you know what's happening here at home, and you still can. Give the gift of life at our local Red Cross. It's at 501 Memorial Boulevard here in Murfreesboro. Make an appointment at a time that fits your schedule. Call them now at 800-RED-CROSS. Maybe you're new to town and would like to learn more about the community. The Rutherford County Historical Society invites you to Ransom School from 9 to noon this Saturday. They'll be talking about history, and you'll be enjoying coffee and donuts. It's all free. And Ransom School is at 717 North Academy Street. This Saturday is Drug Take Back Day. You can take drugs back to all of the police agencies in our community. That's this Saturday. And of course, the Sheriff's Office, as well as Murfreesboro Police, they take back drugs every day throughout the year.
For more Good Neighbor events, check our website, WGNSradio.com.
Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Skies become mostly sunny this afternoon, high in the mid-70s. Tonight, a chance for rain here late, increasing clouds, a low near 54. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Vujcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 51.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE has provided light, comfort, and connection to our community since 1936. As your trusted energy advisor, MTE is always here to help. Connect online or download the My MTE app.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And good morning and welcome back to the second segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And it's our pleasure to have our good friend, and it's all things MTSU this morning with the provost for Middle Tennessee State University, Dr. Mark Byrnes. Pleased to have you again, Dr. Byrnes.
Always a pleasure.
So, let's talk about some exciting things going on at Middle right now.
Well, again, there's a lot. It's funny, I run into people all the time who are alums and haven't been on campus recently, and they come, and they are amazed at what campus looks like. So and even if you're not an alum, you're welcome. We love people to come look around. The whole eastern side of campus is new since the days I was there.
Right.
Well, and Wayne, I'm not sure. Did we have electricity in the time that you were there? But so
the first time you're talking about, right?
Yes, yeah. Right. So we've opened a bunch of new buildings. A big academic classroom building for psychology, social work, and criminal justice that's been open a couple of years now. We have a new concrete building. I really encourage people to go in there because the building itself is a teaching tool. You see some of the structural elements are exposed, and so the students who are studying concrete and construction management get to be in a building that's cool, but also that has those teaching elements. And then right now you'll see the steel going up on our applied engineering building right next to the concrete building, which will house mechatronics and other engineering and engineering tech programs.
Good.
And of course, we're busy working on the new airport in Shelbyville. So, there's an airport already there, so we're not building a whole new airport, but the facilities that we'll use to do flight training out of Shelbyville.
I'm encouraged by the Bill Blue.
Yeah, should have mentioned that.
Yeah, over there in the north end zone.
They're making rapid progress on that, and there are exciting plans to move into Murphy Center and do some improvements there.
Hey, the new glass just on the glass house just gave it a whole different look.
Yeah, it's smart glass, which I don't fully understand, but I know that they can control how much light comes in, and therefore affect the yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I just thought it was tinted glass.
No, you can program it, and I've reached the extent of my knowledge of it, but based on where the sun is, sometimes the sun could hit the players in the eyes on the court, and we can control that now, and control based on the atmospheric conditions, what that glass does. So glass looks great. We need to work on the sound system. That's part of what's going to happen because the acoustics in there are not ideal.
It's difficult to understand,
but I hope people, if you're interested, will go to Bill Blue. I'm not sure what the exact name of the website is, but if you do MTSU Bill Blue, you'll get there, and there's a sort of rendering of what it's going to look like, and it is going to be impressive and long overdue. So it'll be a welcoming entrance into both Floyd Stadium and Murphy Center coming from Greenland parking lot. So we're excited about that as well.
I think really would like to move the dumpsters away from the place where you go underneath the Murphy. That maybe they've already been moved, but that's where Elvis came in his limo when he did his 5 concert. He just drove the limo right down into the bottom of the gymnasium.
So there's been a lot of attention I'm not sure if it was because of Elvis. I wish I'd seen that. I remember when he came, but I think I was 12 at the time, so I didn't get to go.
I had left the football team and went to work for the campus police,
Yeah.
and got was involved in all 5
Oh,
concerts.
that's cool.
It was pretty cool.
So I don't know the fate of the dumpsters that you're talking about, but that it's a very unattractive entrance right now.
Right.
So we know that, and that's part of this plan is to make that much more welcoming and move. I'm not exactly sure where, but move the service parts like the loading dock. We really need a bigger loading dock, and just make it more appealing for the fans and the visitors. So that's part of what we're working on.
Because there's supposed to be a plaza next
Yes.
to the new student facility,
Right.
student athlete facility.
It's
I
all
believe.
going on, and then there'll be some additional suites. So the north end of the stadium, there's a lot of activity going on right now.
I mean, I know it had to be done, but I sure do hate losing our end zone outdoor suite. Got to be in Tim Tackett and his group's box, and that was so much fun being in the end zone there.
Well,
all good
price
things,
of progress, I guess. Yeah.
All good things have to
Just tell Tim to buy one of the fancy suites that'll appear in the.
Probably not on my. Probably not in my financial future anyway. So, but maybe I'll hook up with somebody that can afford it.
There you go.
It's a huge burden now with high def TVs to be able to get people to show up to, especially like that sporting events. I know the big colleges have had issues just as well, but when you make that full experience, I think that's when you're finally able to get some attendance back up and things are where they used to be, and I guess that's part of it.
Well, it's a real challenge, and like you said, you can watch virtually any college game from the comfort of your living room these days, and so it makes it hard to go out and, get out of your chair, and so we're doing everything we can to make it an appealing experience for the fans. Obviously, we have a new football coach. We're excited about him and what sort of changes that might bring. So looking forward to the start of the fall season.
Was encouraged by the crowd at the blue and white game.
Mhm.
We had not had a blue and white
Right.
game in a while, and also encouraged by the number of young people that were there.
Right. I mean, we've always had, well, I won't say always. In recent years, it's hard to get the students to come. And because some of them are commuting, like I said before, most of them are working, and a lot of them are not living on campus. So we're hopeful that these changes will do that. Another thing we're doing, not related to athletics, at least not directly, is we're in the early stages of considering a new, we don't call them dorms anymore, residence halls, through a public-private partnership. And so it's been a slow process because the state has a bunch of rules and regulations about how that has to proceed. But I'm really excited about the prospect of having a more modern suite-style living arrangement available for our students. And so, in general, the more students who can live on campus, the better. But because we just know that they're more involved in campus life, which means they're more likely to stay, more likely to graduate. So that's a big thing on the horizon too. Not sure what the time frame will be on that, but because it's an expensive thing to build, but it's a very worthwhile project.
The married student housing area, is that still fully utilized?
It is. Some of that will be torn down for the construction of this new residence hall.
Okay.
And I don't know the exact names of which buildings, but yeah, all our beds are full.
Okay.
We've got about 2,800, 2,900 beds on campus, and they're full.
Wow. Okay.
And it depends on what time of year. And we've had waiting lists to get on, and I believe firmly that once we get a more modern type of building, there'll be a huge demand. Particularly with rents, like you say, Rick, out in town are just insane now. But it's all supply and demand, as I recall from my economics course. And so looking forward to that. Now, interesting though, there's some studies. We think a lot about retention, that is, students staying in school and ultimately graduating. There's some studies that show the old-timey dorms where you're sharing a room with another person and you're walking down the hall to the bathroom. Those actually are good for retention because you are forced to make connections with people. And that's a key indicator of whether or not a student's going to succeed in college is, do they have friends, people they can turn to in times of trouble, but also just for fun. So I don't know.
Well, our dorm that stayed in when I played football there, we had 4 rooms. We all shared one good-sized bathroom, and there were 8 to each quad, I guess, what we called them, and that made for either a really great friendship or not.
Right. I mean, that's
depending on your quad mates.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So, but I see the value because those guys that were in the quad back in the day, several of them I still have contact with. You know, not every day, but we've stayed familiar over the years.
It's one of the benefits of college life, particularly if you're involved, as you were as an athlete, and in other ways, you make lifelong friends, and it's a huge benefit.
I just see the differences between when we went to school, and I think the library was the main place that we always went because the days of microfiche and researching and things that you had to do is spend hours over
you
there.
Guys are old.
The kids don't have to do it now.
No.
With the computer sitting there, then I guess it does isolate them some now that I think about it, because they didn't have to go and wait your turn to get to that thing. And
well, the interesting thing is how libraries overall through society, but particularly on college campuses, have really changed. It used to be, you have to be quiet, you can't bring in a drink, you can't bring in a snack.
Yeah.
And now it's a much more lively environment because we've recognized that it's not, I did the microfilm and the microfiche and all of that. Now a lot of it is online, but people still want a place to congregate. And the study rooms that we have where groups of students can study together are booked solid, particularly this time of year. There's all sorts of events. There's a maker space in which you can use a 3D printer and other forms of technology. So the library is still very much a hub of campus life.
I used to be intimidated by the big box where you had to go try to look to find a book.
Oh, I remember the Reader's Guide to Periodic Literature. When you're doing a research paper, you go and, oh my God, and flip through that, and then you go to the stacks and find the volume, and usually the article that you wanted would have been cut out, or sometimes it had been. So a lot of those sort of experiences are not part of it anymore. I mean, we have a lot of online resources for students, and it's just much easier to navigate than it was back in the day.
I can remember in high school, shows you how deprived we were, that we would come to the old library on weekends and get Sports Illustrated, because that's not something we could, as blue collar families, that we could really afford to get weekly. So we'd catch up on Sports Illustrated or maybe Newsweek or something like that, and that was how we would keep up with some of the athletic and some things going on in the world.
Right. We still offer those sort of opportunities. The technology is a little bit different, but they're it's still there as a resource, and we welcome members of the public to come in.
Dude, it's such a beautiful campus, and it's just laid out, and there's so many things going on and improving, and the Murphy Center is still a great place to watch anything, a concert or basketball, and with the new facility going in with the football field, that's just going to make that much more eye-pleasing.
Well, I'm just so pleased that we have rededicated ourselves to Murphy Center, that even though it's a 50-year-old building, we're putting the money in to fix it up and make sure that it lasts another 50 years. It's a great location for all those things you mentioned. obviously we got high school basketball tournaments. We've got throughout campus spring fling. There's all sorts of great things, which is a service to the community, but it also brings people on campus. And what we believe, if you get a high school student on campus and they have a good experience, that's a great recruiting technique. So there's all sorts of benefits to that.
Well, probably people that are new to the area, they don't realize that Elton John had a concert there. Chicago. I mean, there's we mentioned Elvis. I mean, there's just been some megastars to have performed.
Well, you know, back before Bridgestone, way before Bridgestone, before Starwood, is that the name of it? The outdoor venue. I mean, there was a municipal auditorium, but it was sort of, even back then, sort of run down. Yeah. So we did get the top level acts at Murphy Center. I think that there's still a market, maybe not for the very top level acts, but for more mid-tier folks to come and play at Murphy Center. So, you know, we had the Judds reunion a year or two ago. Every spring there's a big concert. So I think there's some possibility of bringing some of that back. It's a scheduling challenge, but it's a good thing to have people on campus.
Sure is. You're listening to Dr. Mark Byrnes, Provost of MTSU. We're going to take our second break and be right back with you in just a minute.
This message for all the men out there. Ladies, cover your ears. If you've been feeling tired and grumpy and have noticed a lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain and loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. And at Low T Center, they make it quick and easy to get your levels checked. It's as simple as a blood test with their on-site lab, and they'll get your results back in about 25 minutes. What I love about Low T Center is it's geared towards us, men. They know we don't like to wait around. They know we're impatient, and they know that we like things simple. For me, at times, that means making things a little more simple to understand, too, because we're guys, and we're more focused on heading home to start working on that project car in the garage. Who knows what you're thinking? We're guys, there's no telling. But let me recommend Low T Center. Most health insurance is accepted for treatment there, and they have the affordable and convenient treatment options that include physician-monitored self-inject at-home treatment for their established patients, shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Attention Patriots, this is Jason Hansen, former CIA officer, with an urgent message for anyone concerned about their financial future. In a world filled with economic uncertainty, it's crucial to have a rock-solid plan for protecting your wealth. That's why I'm inviting you to a special financial briefing this Thursday. You'll get proven strategies for safeguarding your assets and securing your money. Call my friends at Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD to register for free right now. Again, call 800-741-GOLD.
Paid for by Advantage Gold. Performance may vary. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult your financial and tax professional.
Spring has sprung, and that means it's time to start planning for your summer road trips. With Bud's Tire Pros by your side, your vehicle will be ready to see the mountains, the beaches, and everything in between. With Bud's Tire Pros' full line of Michelin tires and products, you'll have the peace of mind to hit the road no matter what you drive. Bud's Tire Pros is only 3.5 miles from the Murfreesboro Square. Call Bud's Tire Pros at 896-TIRE or online, Bud's Tire Pros, TN.com.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And welcome back to the third and final segment of this morning with Rick and Wayne. And it's been our pleasure to have the provost for our Middle Tennessee State University, Dr. Mark Byrnes. We're talking all things MTSU this morning. And again, pleased to have you, Dr. Byrnes.
Thank you, Wayne.
We've talked about some of the improvements that are going on, new construction. Of course, the Bill Blue is something that's something near and dear to my heart right now. Anything in that you're looking for over the horizon that could be coming our way?
Well, let me talk a little bit about academic programs
Sure.
because that is what it's all about fundamentally. There's a lot of elements to running a university, but fundamentally, students are there to learn. At least, now, maybe I'm naive. That's my hope, is that they're there to learn. And they're there to prepare themselves both for a career and for life. And so we're constantly looking at the sort of the catalog of programs that we offer. We're taking some out, we're adding some in response to what we think workforce needs are. So I still believe in a classical liberal arts education. That's what I had, and that's what a lot of people have, and it prepares you to adapt to changes in society and in the workforce. But we also have a range of more career-specific majors, and those are quite popular, particularly in this time in which people do have this, in my view, ill-founded concern about the value of a college education. So one of our more recent additions is a bachelor's in cybersecurity management.
Oh, wow.
We got a data science degree. There's a huge demand, I'm sure you guys know, in Nashville for IT professionals, and they cannot find enough people who have the qualifications. And so we're responding to that and providing those programs, and just all sorts of new programs that we think are both attractive to students and will give students the credentials they need when they get out in the workforce.
You know, education, MTSU at one time was one of the largest producer of educators or teachers coming out, and that has diminished somewhat over the years.
It has. We still produce a lot, but because of really national forces, public school teaching is not as an attractive a profession as it once was. At least that's what our students tell us. And so the number of majors has gone down. Part of it was COVID, part of it other things that just it's not as attractive as it once was. And so we're working on that to change the mode of delivery, particularly for people already teaching. Our graduate stuff is increasingly online to make it easier for a working teacher to take those graduate classes. We're very proud of our heritage. We started out as a normal school in 1911, and so we're never going to abandon our commitment to educating teachers. But there's no doubt that it's a different market today than it was in the past, and I worry about that, both as with my MTSU hat on, but also my former school board hat. Who are going to teach our students 10, 15, 20 years from now if we don't get enough students studying education? So it's a concern.
It's not only in teaching, it's everywhere else. With me being prior law enforcement, they've took away a lot of the educational requirements.
Yeah.
At Smyrna, it used to be you had to have an associate's degree or better. From Metro Nashville, Franklin, Brentwood, they've all gone away from that.
Yeah.
Taking all those requirements away. And I know the way they're getting teaching certificates now through a lot of the public schools is not the traditional route anymore.
That's a great point. You're right. The state has taken down a lot of those requirements because they need the people.
Yeah.
And so, if you can go become a teacher without going through a 4-year, I guess you still have to be a college graduate, but you don't necessarily have to have much education training, if at all, anymore.
I think everybody with the internet, they expect immediate results.
Sure.
So the time at which it takes you, let's say, to get a master's degree or a doctorate degree now, it's a year's process, and they want these instant results, and they're not. Unfortunately, our young people are not willing to dedicate the time that long.
Right. We have seen some education programs from reputable universities where it's now much more of a self-paced, competency-based thing where it's not a traditional semester-long course. You can do it in chunks, and so I don't know. I mean, we're going to look at that. As long as the rigor is still there, we need to be more flexible. But I do worry that some people are getting teaching licenses who might not be ready in the way that we would.
Well, it just
hope
hurts.
It would be.
I mean, COVID was part of it, but police work, arrests are down. They're complaining about the jail, that the jail's kind of filling up, but it's state prisoners, it's not local prisoners. So, but arrests are down. They're almost down 2,000 arrests a year of what they were 6 years ago, and that's not educational wise, but I'm thinking it's a correlation between the two because these instant results and things, we're not getting the better officers that we were getting before. And the same thing you're talking about, we're not getting the better teachers. It seems like to me, police work and teachers were, you did it as a service, and you were took pride in what you did. And I don't know if they all do it like they
crime
do now.
certainly hasn't gone away.
No.
Well, the whole workforce throughout society has changed, and part of it's generational. I think there are different expectations and different desires among the younger folks, and it's having effects on hiring. I mean, it used to be any job at the university, we'd get tons of applicants because it was steady work, good benefits, people lined up to get it, and that's not true anymore because, in most cases, we want you to come to campus. And
we actually want you to show up.
Now,
on time.
here's where some of my younger colleagues think I'm a dinosaur. That you should show up and not wear your PJs in front of the computer at home. I mean, there's some jobs are totally fine.
Sure,
work from home, but there's still a value to being there in person. And obviously, if you're in a student-facing role, you got to be on campus to do that. So that's another thing that has really transformed higher ed, not just MTSU, but everybody, is the growth of online. That's where the demand, not all the demand, but demand has skyrocketed, particularly after COVID. What we learned, because we had to, is that all of our courses can be taught online, some with more difficulty than others, but both faculty and students, a lot of them discovered, hey, we actually sort of like this. And if you do it right, the quality of the education is really good, but it's different. So we're working on that to make sure we're meeting the demand while still focusing on the importance of the on-campus experience.
Well, you're seeing public school and maybe school in general, where these types of computer-generated classes where they can study, they can be taught at home rather than being in a school setting, which I think you lose a lot by not a virtual school. I see the benefits, but I also see the negative of that child not having the social aspect and the opportunities that by being at school.
We're seeing the effects of that. I mean, there's all sorts of studies about the educational achievement and how COVID affected that, and it was the fact that they weren't in school and they were doing it online, and reading scores are down, math scores are down, and it's going to take years for those students to work their way through the system, hopefully gaining those skills, but maybe never gaining them back in the way they would have had them.
Sure.
So it's a fact of life. We're trying to be intentional about what we do and how we do it and maintain the quality. I still think being in a room with other students and a professor is the ideal way to do it. But there are some students for whom that's just not possible or not as convenient. So 1/4 of all our classes are now taught online.
Wow. Which
is a staggering statistic. The good news, it makes parking spaces easier to get on campus. And that's a little bit misleading. It's not that 1/4 of our students are fully online. It's 1/4 of classes. So the majority of those are taken by students who are taking some online, some on ground classes. And I'm okay with that. It's sort of odd. We'll have students sitting in their dorm room taking an online class that's being offered on ground, in a building a few hundred yards away.
Has AI made a big difference?
Oh,
you
yes.
guys? Are y'all seeing it?
Oh, huge. And we're still on the front end of it. I should have mentioned that earlier when we were talking about changes. We don't know exactly where it's going to wind up. We do know that, as usual, the students, at least at the beginning, were one step ahead of us, and there were some papers turned in. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I think may have been AI generated. In fact, I've played around a little bit. I'm by no means an expert with the ChatGPT, and you tell it a prompt, and I told it to write a paper of a type that I used to assign. And it wasn't like a generic term paper. It was pretty specific. And it wrote, in 30 seconds what was probably a B-plus paper. So
Wow.
For people, really for any professor teaching any subject, it's a fact of life. And we're trying to figure out how to use it as a tool, because it's not going to go away. If anything, it's going to get more elaborate and more effective. And so how do you incorporate it in a class, knowing that the students are going to use it, most of them anyway, and still educate them? So it's a huge issue that the entire higher ed community is trying to figure out.
Sure. Wow.
It just blows me away. My computer the other day did an update, and it's all AI stuff off Google
Right.
and
Yeah.
Microsoft now, and Facebook did an update now, and it's got AI that if you do the search bar now, it kind of is taking over.
Yep.
And,
It has. If I could get it to answer my email for me, I'd be happy. So far, I haven't figured that
it's
out.
probably listening right now.
It probably is. If I go back and there's no messages in my inbox, I'll be happy.
That's right.
But already there's a little icon. Click here if you want, a suggested response.
Yeah,
and I haven't
that's
really
what
used
part
it.
of my
Yeah.
update
On
is.
Facebook, that has a little meta icon, I guess.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I'm such a dinosaur, I didn't even know what that was.
Well, I mean, it's all around us now, and it's. Overall, I'm optimistic about it, but there's a lot of things we got to figure out in terms of coursework.
Yep. Just want to say God bless you for your efforts with the school board, and you've always been an amazing community leader, and proud of the
very
work
much.
you do with our university as provost too.
Yep.
Well, appreciate everything you two do and have done for this county, and I think the future's bright, but we got some stuff to deal with.
Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed our show. We'll be back with you again next week. We got the mayor of Smyrna coming on next week. It's
Yes,
our
sir.
2-year anniversary of being on here at WGNS.
Yeah,
so it's
Brian.
pretty cool.
Brian, and them have allowed us to hang out for a couple of years with
Yeah.
them.
We'll see if we make it through next week then. Tune
Yes,
in. To be determined. Hey, everybody, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.